Our project today in the wood shop is to replace all the wood on this garden bench. This garden bench is approximately 10 years old and it stays most of the time out in the weather. The wood on the bench is white oak, and originally the white oak was varnished. Varnished anything doesn't hold up very well in the weather. Within a year, certainly within 2 years, the varnish begins to weather, crack, and it basically looks terrible. So what we're going to do is replace all of the wood on the bench with mahogany. Mahogany is a very hard wood. It's quite easy to work with, however, but it will hold up extraordinarily well in all kinds of weather conditions, and as it weathers, it will turn slightly gray. The mahogany is totally impervious to insects and almost totally impervious to wood rot. Once we replace this particular garden bench will probably sit in the garden for the next 25 years and never require rework. The first step in the process of replacing the wood is totally disassemble the bench. The wood slats on the bottom as well as the back are held in place by a bracket and a screw from underneath on both sides. So we're going to disassemble this whole bench and then proceed to cut new wood to replace it. So there's a garden bench, totally disassembled. Now we're getting ready to cut the new wood. The seat of the garden bench is made of this 2.5-inch white oak. We're going to replace all these pieces with 3/4-inch mahogany. There's only one fancy cut, and that's the arch on the back. And this is very easily cut out of an 8-inch piece of mahogany. To make our 2.5-inch strips of mahogany for the bottom of the garden bench, we're gonna slice up this 6-inch piece of mahogany into 2.5-inch strips. Now that we have our seat pieces cut, we're going to cut the pieces to make the back. And as you noticed before, one of the pieces is a curved piece. So this has to be cut out of a piece of 1x8. The rest of it can still be cut out of a 1x6 at 2.5 inches wide. To make the back piece, we take the old piece, lay it on a new piece of wood, and simply trace it. And simply trace it out. And now we've got a nice clear line, so all we have to do now is cut this, and we'll cut this either on a bandsaw or a jigsaw, so we'll have a perfect match to the old. There you have it, a reworked garden bench in mahogany. It certainly looks a lot better than the old white oak that was on here before. In the process, we realized that most of the hardware that held the old bench together had to be replaced. It basically was a low-grade brass type screws and bolts, and they had a tremendous amount of corrosion after 10 years sitting out in the weather. So we replaced all that hardware with 5/16 steel bolts to hold the back on and hold both ends of the seat slats in place. We may go ahead and put a preservator on this. If we do, we'll use Seconite. Seconite is a fantastic deck preserver, and it will work just fine on this mahogany. However, we may leave it just the way it is. If we choose to do that, after a couple of years, the color will bleach out and it will turn a very light gray, which is okay because the weather really is not going to hurt this wood over the next 20 years. Originally, this garden bench cost approximately $65. The replacement one today is almost $125. We redid this, including the hardware, for $60. So that's not a bad deal when you consider the alternative. Boom. And that's all there is to it. We'll have this out in the garden this spring, and my wife will enjoy it along with her flowers. For more information on do-it-yourself home improvement projects, visit our website at Do It Yourself Home Improvement Plus.